into this reading, we're going to look at what's going on with your relationship right now, what is the current situation, so that you can decide if you relate to this particular reading. And then we're going to look at the energies to shift. We're going to look at lessons that are inside the relationship. I'm here to empower you on this journey, so we want you to check in and also know how to navigate this particular situation. What is being brought forward will be what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So we are looking from the perspective of your future self and what it means to put into action the correct thinking, feeling and behaviours so that you can move forward. Not all relationships are lifetimes, but they can be filled with lessons and blessings, and from there you are able to build a better relationship with yourself. So if this reading resonates with you, just come in with an open heart and an open mind and allow your soul to let go of what no longer aligns. If it doesn't, just scroll on by. So what I'm picking up for you, the viewer, is a sense of being left out, being put on the wayside, and being in a position where you want to come together with this particular person. You want to build a life with this person. You want to create happiness, but it comes from a place of stability, comes from a place of a foundation where you and your loved one feel safe, emotionally safe, financially safe. And so it requires teamwork, but it does seem like there's a little bit of distance. You know, there's not an agreement. And on your loved one's side, they basically see you as the perfect partner, but they have withdrawn and they are not really showing up in the way that you'd like, because they are fairly immature in their ability to connect in a loving and emotional way. They haven't been taught how to express their emotional intelligence, and so we have a little bit of an immaturity here. They want to come forward and present something, but we're looking at it from a point of view that is what they think is supposed to happen rather than what they're seeing in front of them. So they're coming from their mind, they're coming from their head, and what they are presenting to you isn't exactly what you're after. So while they can see that you want to be loved and emotional, you also want to know about the foundation of monetary stability and a safe home and a place where you can both come together. But there's a little bit of discord, for want of a better term, where you guys aren't meeting eye to eye. And so there needs to be a way of resetting the situation, looking at the relationship from a brand new place. But then you both are coming from a wounded point of view, and you're looking at, you know, the idealism of this particular thing, how each other comes in an idealistic point of view. You both really want stability and security, but you need to define it as a shared thing. So whatever you're thinking is stability and emotional safety needs to be communicated to this party, and vice versa, so that you can both come together and go, well, what is actually our relationship? How do we bring these two different energies together and compromise or come to an agreement of what this looks like? And from there, you both are stepping into a more mature, more practical foundation for the relationship. So whatever's going on for you right now, you need to reset. And it comes from looking within first, like deciding what you think the relationship should be or could be, or where it is today, and how you both contribute to it in a more helpful way. And rather than having too many ideas going on in the background, it's finding the one that brings you the most love, brings you the most peace, brings you the most joy, and it's win-win for everybody. And when you feel that, then you are emotionally available, more open, more secure, more, like this is for the both of you, more happy. Instead of this feeling of running away from the situation or thinking that it's too hard, it's creating a sense of balance. So what I want to do is look at the lessons that you're both learning. Now, as you are the viewer, you are the one who will see what it is that you are learning inside the relationship, and what you're projecting as the other person is learning inside the relationship. If they choose to watch this particular reading, then they can also take ownership of their share of the relationship. But because it is just you and I, you are responsible for what you are responsible for. You cannot control or manipulate the person into learning what you've learnt here today. They need to see this reading, or they need to come to the conclusion of what it is that they are here to learn. So what we have in this reading for you here, the feminine energy is learning about healing all parts. Healing means creating a wholeness. It means loving and accepting all parts of you, not just the sunshine, not just the rain, not just the stormy bits, not just the parts that we hide in the shadows. We love all parts and we bring them together as a wholeness. And you are responsible for your healing, but it helps that the partner is understanding of what it is that you may need in the moment, and vice versa. And the person on this side, which is the masculine, whoever plays the masculine role in the relationship, needs to understand that while you have differences, while you may actually come from a different place, you're both flowers. These are both plants, and they're in the same garden. And the point of this card is to highlight that everybody has different needs. Everybody has different levels of sunlight and water and nutrients required to grow. And so how that translates to a relationship is maybe one person needs more cuddles than the other, one person needs more talking than the other, one person needs more space than the other. And it's about coming together and recognizing who you are as individuals and what you need to feel emotionally safe. And then when you share that space with each other, how that complements where you're heading. And the whole point of the relationship, when you bring these two things together, healing all parts of you, loving, accepting the light and dark sides of you, and working together in a harmonious way, it's about nurturing that inner child, nurturing your needs and wants, but being very clear about that. We spoke about definitions and defining what is an ideal version of the relationship, because essentially it's two completely different entities coming together and contributing to the outcome, contributing to what the vision of the future is of your relationship. And we have this two figures here, so it's a mother and child, and it's also, looking at the nurturing or relationship that you had with a parent, and how that may show up in your relationship, and how you may want to care for that in a way that is loving. You know, healing's not an easy thing to do for everyone, and it's not the responsibility of one party only. You both need to contribute to this. And so the clouds in these cards represent, you know, what filters and beliefs and ideals obscure the truth of who you are. You know, that aspect of you that is beyond the daily limitations, or the fights, or the worries, or the fears. You know, how the relationship of your parents when you were growing up, what that looked like, is your first blueprint for how you think relationships are and should be. And this is your permission slip to recognize that it's just a pattern, and it's one of, you know, an infinite number of patterns, combinations of two people coming together and creating a child or children, and how they just know how to navigate the relationship as best they could. You may have had struggles growing up with the relationship dynamics between, you know, each parent as well as siblings, and we cannot break free from those patterns until we are aware of how and why we react the way that we do. Conflict is a massive thing inside relationships. There's a whole study on conflict management and different styles of how we show up in those places where we don't necessarily agree or align. So it is, you know, for you, you're trying to come together as a team because you do want happiness, because you do want the stability, and then your person, you know, just wants to love, that is uncertain how to do that at all times, because, you know, the majority of the differences between men and women are showing up culturally in the way that they're supposed to behave and act within the relationship. Everybody carries emotions. They are our signature of letting us know when we're out of alignment. Whatever we're thinking or whatever we're engaging with, whatever we allow into our vessel, will show the truth of the situation, of whether we're in alignment to ourselves or not. So it's about acknowledging where we're at currently, and sort of, you know, what holds us back. You know, what are we held back by? What allows us to flourish? And how to move forward with that through the acknowledgement of, well, this is where we're currently at. This is what we currently do, rather than judging each other and pointing each other's flaws out. It's the language that we use to communicate how each person seems to be showing up, and we may not recognise that until it's pointed out to us. So there is an awareness about communication and the language that you use when you do want to bring things up. You don't want to be pointing the finger at each other. You know, I see this person coming in trying to do things for you and show their love for you, which may not be your love language, and you're more about, well, this is also what I do, but they're two very different things. The doing is two very different things, but you're actually coming from a place of love. It's just that each person is not recognising each other's contribution or love language. I want to talk about the soul perspective of the relationship, and if you can find the space and the time and the energy of both of you contributing to the outcome of this relationship, what it means at a soul level, we're looking at coming into your power. So you're coming into your power, and you're both nourishing each other and fueling each other while living in an individual way. So as one person pulls into the other person pulls back into their loved one. I think one of the most important things about communication that's missed a lot too in relationships is this thing about listening. Listening is a skill. It's active listening. Go and look it up. It is being able to hear and take on board what the other person is saying without waiting to respond, without waiting to speak your piece, or without being defensive. And it's a skill that's actually very easy to learn, but requires practice to learn. And when this particular relationship is in alignment, it means that everybody there is highlighting what it is that they love within themselves. You know, the daffodil here stands out and is beautiful and yellow as the daffodil can be, and the little purple flowers here are their beautifulness, and they create this harmony, and there's an appreciation and love for each thing. And so, you know, when you find that the garden is a bit dry, you might want to water it. If you find that the leaves are wilting, you might want to give more nutrients. So what is that? That's the question. How do we empower each other? How do we empower ourselves? How do we come together and empower the relationship and bring it into a state of joy? You know, this it's work of both parties. It's a work of both people willing to step in. Now, you may be sitting here going, yes, this makes a whole lot of sense, but you can only do what you are responsible for, which is yourself. And then when you understand and are very clear and grounded in what it is that you want, then you can come forward with that loved one of yours and have a discussion. Now, they are not understanding of the perspective that you've learned and where you're coming from, which I highly recommend you share this video with them so that they can understand the framework that you're looking at. And if they're not willing to put in the effort and put in the work, then there's your answer. You either get to choose to continue down the path, or you get off the boat and pick another one. So for the feminine, we're looking at discovering your life purpose. And then for the masculine, there is a particular experience that they've gone through, particularly in the relationships of earlier childhood, that has left a hole in their heart, and they are very afraid. So they may have a bit of a facade on the front, but they are very afraid when it comes to that. Now, it might not even be conscious to them, or it might be conscious to them, but they're unsure how to heal the wound. And we tend to brush things under the carpet, hide it, you know, drink, use substances, avoid it, do anything except for hit it head on. We're no longer children, so we are in a position to be more responsible for how we navigate adulthood. We get to choose if we want to continue repeating that pattern of childhood or running away from it. Either way, it hasn't been dealt with, so it will show up time and time again, whether it's with you or with another person. For you, the person that is watching this, and you are here to discover your life purpose, and we have these two people here working in unison. He is playing the violin. He's the one that sets the tune. He's the one that's he's serenading this person, and she's watching on, listening to him. And so, as I said before, it's about listening. You're both working together, and he might be playing a tune that you don't want to participate with, and yet you're tolerating it, so you're enabling the continuation. So there needs to be communication about what is the tone of this relationship. Is it nurturing? Is it empowering? Is it resonating with the energy of nurturing, love, stability, and power, acceptance, unity, wholeness. So they're also sitting outside, which is not really a long-term environment to succeed, and it's about setting yourself up for success. It's having the courage to say this is or isn't working, this is what does help or what doesn't help, this is how we can make changes, and we need to create an environment where it's safe to explore this. The masculine here needs this time to explore and not see it as a failure or a judgment, but rather a hard-won lesson of understanding what kind of skills was developed by avoiding dealing with this particular issue. Maybe it's heartbreak, maybe it's love, and for you, you're seeing the best in this person, but for them, they are running away from a repeat of the experience, the feeling that they may have had, the shame. And when you are given the right tools to explore that, and the right safe and the right, the right safety, the right guidance, it no longer has power over you. And this is the point of the relationship. It's about nurturing your strengths, recognizing what the downfall might be, what your shadows are, and how you can transmute that into a more powerful version of you. So how we bridge the individuality so that we can come into this space of a beautiful relationship. For the feminine, it's about having the courage to step up and heal all parts of you. When you own all parts of you and not project it out to each other, when you have your voice, when you can say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I need, it gives this person guidance, and it also allows them to heal themselves in the same way. You're leading by example. For this particular person, as they step in, this individual steps in, they are allowing themselves to explore that and look at the relationship in a longer term. There's a couple here that is walking, and they've been walking through the forests, through nature, through the path. If he sees the version of you as you guys have grown older, into a lifelong relationship. We can see them young here in the mountains, and then we can see them aged and together and walking together and still in love. That's the vision. And when this particular person is aligned to that vision, it makes it easier for them to let go of what it is that they've been hiding and harbouring and thinking that they can continue on with it. It's like having some old shoes, and rather than throwing them out, they put them in the back of the cupboard and they keep bringing them with them, and they smell, and they got holes in them, but for whatever reason there's an attachment to it. Their energy and their power and their focus is all around holding on to those shoes to remind them, to protect them to suffer with it as if it's supposed to be something that they do. Well, this is permission to say it doesn't align. We need new shoes, we need the space, it's okay to let go. So then they have this power and ability just to let go of the shoes. Does that make sense? So what I'm talking about there with that is this person needs to own this version, really feel into it, really see it as true and as a fulfillment. And then everything else is just let go, because it doesn't represent the feeling, it doesn't represent the thoughts, it doesn't represent the version of that person in here. So the purpose overall is to create an environment around love. That is the ultimate. And we need to bring yourselves into alignment with how you define love in the first place, not from your conditioning as you grew up, but from outside of that conditioning, by letting it go, by letting those old shoes go, by letting those old patterns go, the old ways of reacting, the old ways of responding, the old ways of communication. There's going to be things that you do that are effective, but it must be evaluated in the moment and see that it's in alignment. Now we've got personal power here coming into power. This is about stepping into leadership. And this is, about multiplying the level of abundance that you two can have if you can work through this. This is using your personal energy and investing it into the things that are nourishing for you and the relationship, that are nurturing for you and the relationship. It's about removing the energy that is going to this hurt and redirecting it to the thing that you love. For you, the feminine, you are here. You must recognize that the thoughts and feelings are something that you have, but it's not who you are. So you have to continually step back and recognize that you are having those thoughts, and those thoughts are tied to feelings, and those feelings are fleeting. It changes with cycles, with the waves. You might step in one day and feel great, and then the next day you don't, and then it just continues on. And it's you, the spirit inside a body, having that experience, but not identifying with it, so that when you are on your healing journey, you're about letting things go and being free from that, and deciding that you want to show up in whatever state that you are, with the intention of being more nurturing and inside your power, and like this energy of courage, the courage to let go of your conditioning, because as you open up, this one opens up too, and you come together, and the relationship itself is both of you connecting to the greatest source. If you have a deity that you revere, whether that's God, whether that's Allah, whether that's the Creator, you both first receive the energy from your Creator. You're receiving the energy as individuals from the Creator, and then you're investing that energy into this relationship, and it could work out for you in more ways than you could ever expect. And it's not about it being an easy journey. It's about recognizing that sometimes we are in a boat together and there's rough waters, and the rough waters are not always there. The calm waters are not always there. But where you're navigating towards is, whether that's your North Star, your heart's desires, you're talking big picture, you're talking outside of the daily stuff, because the daily is all the things that you're doing to move towards the big picture. Everything that you do, every choice that you make is actually contributing to the big picture of what this relationship is. When you both come together, it's not going to be easy all the time when you're healing and you're going through some hard times. But when you can re-navigate your mind into, okay, this is where we want to end up, it makes it easier to let stuff go. One of the things that I find in some of my work is that people love to know timing. The thing about time, depending who you talk to, is that it's a construct. A point A and a point B. Some things move a lot faster than others. And when you're talking about people and relationships and their willingness to let things go in order to invest into what it is that they really want, that determines timing. Some people are more ready than others to let go. Some people have dug their heels in. We can't always find a sense of safety. We just have to make that decision and say, well, I'm letting this go now. So, according to this deck, it is happening in the near future, near or far, up or down, front or back. You know, it is a possibility. But everything happens in the perfect time. It's about opening up your heart and mind and your willingness to let go of what is keeping you from living your divine power. Any other messages for this particular group of people who are watching this? You know, we all have a past, and we all have the option to have a new beginning. The thing around stuff of the past is that it's done. The only way that it remains alive is through our continual remembrance. And a lot of the time we remember the past in a way that it is trying to protect us from failing again, from screwing up, from getting hurt again. And essentially it's like having a suitcase that we carry with us through life, and we're putting rocks in. You know, all our experiences are rocks, and we're putting them inside the suitcase, and we're dragging that suitcase around with us, and it's heavy. We cannot change it. We can only make peace with it. We can learn lessons from it. We can learn blessings from it. It's really going, well, I need to make space in the suitcase for the new stuff. Yeah, and it's a choice. It's a choice to make new, to have a new beginning, to reset. And you have to reset every single day. Because when we go to bed, we're shutting down the day. We're having sleep, we're resting, we're resetting, and then we start a new day. And we can bring the suitcase from yesterday into today, or we can just choose to let everything go, clean the slate and start fresh. So don't put so much pressure on yourselves to find the perfect time or the right time, or it's got to be done by da-da-da-da-da. If both people are willing to make the changes and contribute in a healthy way to the longevity of the relationship, then it is known and trust can be held by both sides. But if there is no improvement on either side, then that's when you make your discernment about whether you're going to continue on. But always revert back to your higher self. Remember the energy of nurturing. You are individuals, so you need to nurture your own stuff. When you fill your cup and overflow, then you have much more to share. So there you have it. If you have any questions or you would like help with going through this, because when we have the right support, we have the correct accountability and the right guidance, we are able to stay on track. When we are doing it on our own, it can take longer, we can get distracted, we can get lost, we can make it worse, we can make it better. We can speed it up if we have the right support and the right guidance, because the mind likes to maintain patterns. And from what I understand of this reading, we are no longer doing patterns of the past, we're doing patterns of this new relationship about coming into our power by nurturing everything that lights each individual up. So if you'd like that support or guidance, feel free to drop me a comment or a email. To your beautiful relationship. Until the next reading, bye for now.